So, you're tired of playing chess like you're guessing on every move. You want to look at a position and instantly know what you're supposed to be doing, when to develop, when to protect, when to ignore? That's where chess principles come in. They're the patterns strong players rely on, the shortcuts that make complicated positions suddenly feel simple. Today, you're getting 15 core principles that guide your openings, your middle games, and your end games. Nothing theoretical, nothing overwhelming. Just the practical ideas that make the board make sense. And remember, they're not perfect rules. Sometimes the position breaks them, but most of the time they point you in the right direction. Let's start with the opening principles, the foundations of everything that follows. The first principle is control the center early. In the opening, your first job is simple. Claim the center before your opponent does. Why? Because the center gives your pieces more space, more activity, and more control over the game. Let's look at this example, where white's pieces reach deep into the center. They influence key squares, they threaten, they restrict. White is active. Black, on the other hand, isn't fighting for the same squares. He's basically fighting for weaker squares than white. That's what controlling the center actually means. Your pieces get space, activity, and purpose. The second principle is, don't bring your queen out too early. Your queen is powerful, yes, but in the opening, she's also a target. Here's why bringing her out early is a problem. White tries the famous hope chess attack with this move. Black simply develops a knight, defends everything, and then kicks the queen around with g6. Every time the queen moves, white falls further behind. Meanwhile, black just develops smoothly. Early queen adventures look tempting, but they almost always lose time. Principle number 3. Castle as soon as it's safe. The opening can get sharp fast, and the center is the last place you want your king to be. In the first 10 moves, both players are developing pieces, opening diagonals, trading pawns, and creating tension. That tension means files are about to be opened. And anytime a file opens, a king in the center becomes a target. Castling solves this instantly. When you castle, you do 3 things at once. You move your king to safety, you activate a rook into the center, you connect your pieces for the middle game. That's why strong players castle early. It's not about hiding the king, it's about completing development in the cleanest way possible. Principle number 4, avoid moving the same piece twice in the opening. Your goal in the opening isn't to finish missions with one piece, it's to bring all your pieces into the game quickly. Watch what happens when someone violates this. Black moves the knight 3 times in 4 moves, and gains absolutely nothing. White, meanwhile, develops naturally and gains space. This is how small mistakes create big problems later. Principle number 5. Don't push random pawns in the opening. Every pawn you move does 2 things. It gains space and it creates a weakness. That weakness never goes away. Once you push a pawn, you can't pull it back. So if you push pawns without a purpose, you're not attacking, you're just giving your opponent new targets. In the opening, your pieces want freedom, coordination, and development. Random pawn pushes do the opposite. They open holes, weaken squares, and waste time. Although they feel harmless in the moment, but they quietly damage your position long term. Principle number 6. Don't block your own bishops with pawns. Your bishops are long-range pieces. They're strongest when their diagonals are open, stretching across the board, influencing everything. But the moment you place a pawn in front of them, you're cutting off their vision, their activity, and their purpose. A blocked bishop isn't a piece, it's a decoration, now that the opening is behind us. Let's move into the middle game, the phase where plans start to appear, positions become sharper, and small decisions suddenly matter a lot more. Principle number 8. Fight for open files with your rooks. Your rooks are useless when they're trapped behind pawns, but the moment a file opens, they become some of the most powerful pieces you have. An open file is like a highway. If you put your rook there first, you gain control, pressure, and activity instantly. Here's a simple example. The moment the e-file opens, white wants his rook to dominate this line, and suddenly the rooks are influencing the entire center. If you ignore open files, you're ignoring free activity. Rooks belong on open lines, so get them there early. Principle number 9. Don't trade unless you gain something. Trading is not simplifying. Trading is changing the structure of the game, so only trade when it benefits you. You gain something when the trade improves your piece activity, damages your opponent's pawn structure, removes a defender, helps a tactic, or leads to an endgame you like. Here's a clear example. White trades on d5 and gains something, a central pawn majority. But compare it to a bad trade. In this example, when black traded the knights, it allowed white to develop a new piece into the game. The point is simple. Don't trade because why not? Trade because it improves your position. Principle number 10. Avoid creating weaknesses you can't defend. In the middle game, one unnecessary pawn move can create a weakness that follows you forever. Weak squares, backward pawns, exposed diagonals. These are long-term problems. In this example, white pushes d5, gaining space, but it also creates the c3 dark square weakness, which black attacks for the rest of the game. Let's see this other board for another example. White weakens the dark squares around the king. Black immediately answers with ice5, exploding the center. Every weakness becomes a target, and targets decide middle games. Only create weaknesses when you can defend them. Principle number 11. Open the position when you have a development lead. Close it when you have a space advantage. This is one of the most powerful middle game rules. If you're ahead in development, just open the position. You want open lines because active pieces thrive in open positions. Your threats appear faster than your opponent can respond. Open files let your rooks dominate immediately. Open diagonals give your bishops maximum power. Your initiative turns into real attacking chances. When you're ahead in development, opening the center exposes the opponent's unready pieces. But on the other hand, if you have a space advantage, close the position. Why? Because your pieces have more room than theirs. Their pieces become cramped and passive. You gain time to slowly improve every piece. You control the pawn structure, not them. Breaks become your choice, not theirs. Principle number 12. Always look for forcing moves, checks, captures, threats. In the middle game, forcing moves are your best tools for clarity. Whenever you're unsure what to do, ask yourself, do I have a check? Do I have a capture? Do I have a threat? These moves force your opponent to respond. They clarify the position, and they often reveal tactics that weren't obvious. For example, in this match, white looks for forcing moves and finds a capture which forces black to take the bishop on c4, and that opens the e-file which white can dominate with his rook. Forcing moves create momentum and show you what's actually happening in the position. If you look for them consistently, your calculation becomes cleaner, and your tactical sense skyrockets. And now, we move into the endgame principles. Principle number 13. Centralize your king so it becomes a fighting piece. In the endgame, your king is no longer something you hide. It becomes one of your strongest units. The board is open, pieces are gone, lines are clear. That's when the king transforms from a liability into a power piece. When your king is centralized, it supports passed pawns. It creates threats. It helps your pieces coordinate. It restricts the enemy king. It becomes a direct attacker. In the endgame, activity decides everything, and no piece gains more activity from centralization than the king. Bring it to the middle and let it fight. Principle number 14. In rook endings, cut off the enemy king. In rook endgames, activity decides everything, and the strongest idea you must know is cut off the enemy king, don't let it join the fight. Your rook acts like a wall, blocking their king from crossing into the important area of the board. I know this example shows a simple checkmate, but the principle applies to countless other positions. In the endgame, your goal is simple. Don't let the opponent's king join the fight. Principle number 15. Opposition wins pawn endgames. Learn to use it. Opposition means placing your king directly in front of the enemy king with one square between you. What to do? Step directly in front of the opposing king. Force them to move first. Use the extra tempo to step into the key square. Escort your pawn forward while their king is pushed away. Repeat this whenever the kings face each other. In this way, your king will protect all the squares to promotion, and you will definitely win the game. And that's it. Those were the top 15 principles. This channel is still brand new, so if you made it all the way to the end, I'd love to hear what you think. Tell me what I should improve, and be honest with me. Only in this way I can improve. And by the way, I upload one chess video every single week. So if you want to follow along the journey, maybe think about subscribing. And next week's video, we're doing the top 15 tricks in chess. Tactical ideas and patterns you can use in your games right away. Thanks for watching. See you next week, nerd.